You're not preparing for a break-in. You're preparing for the moment America flips from managed comfort to unmanaged desperation. When the lights go out, water pressure dies, and people realize they've got 72 hours before panic turns into predation. Here's the part nobody says out loud. The average American uses about 82 gallons of water a day at home. And when that stops, your neighborhood doesn't stay civilized for long. Add the reality that the U.S. still sees hundreds of thousands of burglaries a year, even in normal times, and you should understand the math. There are a lot of people already willing to force entry. Now imagine what happens when hunger and darkness add permission. And while you're thinking about defense, remember this. Improper generator use has been tied to hundreds of deaths over a decade in carbon monoxide incidents, meaning collapse doesn't just bring attackers, it brings lethal mistakes inside your own house. So in this video, I'm not giving you cute tips. I'm giving you the steps that keep your home from becoming somebody else's supply depot. And keep your family alive when the rules are gone. Don't just barricade the house, control the approach zones. Everyone talks about reinforcing their doors and windows, but almost no one talks about the fatal flaw in that plan. Your front yard is a battlefield. If you wait until looters or marauders are on your porch, you've already lost half the fight. In a full-blown SHTF scenario, when police aren't coming and 911 is nothing more than a memory, you need to shift your defensive perimeter outward away from your front door. What does that mean in practical terms? It means you need to think like a combat engineer. Start by using natural terrain and man-made obstacles to your advantage. If you've got a yard, plant dense thorn bushes under every window. They're nature's barbed wire. Add landscaping rocks, scrap metal, or junk vehicles to choke movement and force looters down specific kill lanes. And I don't care if it looks ugly. Ugly might save your life. Got a driveway? Block it. Not when the chaos starts. Right now. Most people think they'll have time to react when things go bad. You won't. You need to pre-stage barriers like concrete planters, sandbags, even junk furniture to stop vehicles. You don't want to see an old Ford Explorer crash through your garage because a gang decided to use it as a battering ram. And don't forget elevation. If your property has a slope or stairs, reinforce those choke points. You want intruders to struggle every step of the way. Think medieval. Turn your property into a bottleneck where every direction of approach is slowed, redirected, and dangerous. The average American home has zero external defense, which makes them easy prey. The ones that make it, they control their perimeter long before the fight ever starts, reinforce the air gap. Because roofs and attics are the weak link no one sees coming. Now here's something even seasoned preppers miss. You're probably defending the wrong parts of your home. Doors, yes, windows, sure. But what about your attic vent, your roof access, the skylight? Most American homes have at least 6 potential roof entry points, and in an SHTF scenario, that's an open invitation for any looter with a ladder or tree access. If you think people won't climb onto your roof to get in, they will. Ask anyone who's lived through real societal collapse, like Argentina in 2001 or South Africa's recent rolling blackouts. Rooftop infiltration is a real tactic, especially by groups who plan to overwhelm homes at night when no one's watching overhead. Start by locking down the attic access inside your home. That flimsy push-up panel in your hallway ceiling, reinforce it with steel brackets or replace it with a lockable door system. You don't want looters to crash through your ceiling like some horror movie. Then inspect all attic vents, those little wire-covered squares that face the outside world. You can upgrade them with welded mesh or steel plating without affecting airflow. Same goes for skylights. Either remove them entirely or reinforce with polycarbonate sheeting that looks like glass but takes a crowbar like a champ. Finally, install motion sensors or IR alarms in your attic. A thermal tripwire can alert you if someone's up there, even if they've slipped in silently. In short, don't just secure your house from the ground up. Secure it from the sky down. America's homes are built for comfort, not conflict. But conflict is coming. If your home has a crawl space or attic, then congratulations. You've got 2 unguarded doors most people forget exist. And in a real breakdown, that mistake can get you killed. Weaponize your lighting, but not the way you think. Forget everything you've been told about outdoor lights. The advice most YouTube survivalists give. Install motion sensor floodlights. Sure, that's great. Until there's no power. What happens when the grid is gone, the backup generator's drained, and you're still getting prowlers at 3 a.m.? In an SHTF scenario, every photon becomes a weapon. The key isn't to light up your property. It's to control who sees what, when, and how. Most looters operate at night not because they're brave, but because darkness is their ally. You need to take that from them. Start with passive light control, blackout curtains, thermal barriers, and internal lighting discipline. You don't want even a crack of light leaking from your windows at night. Use LED lanterns with red filters indoors. They preserve your night vision and are much harder to detect from outside. Now flip the script. Use light as a deterrent, but on your own terms. Solar-powered floodlights rigged to a motion tripwire, not just passive sensors, can blind and disorient anyone approaching. Better yet, mount a few high-lumen strobes on corners of your home that can be activated remotely. There's a reason riot police use strobe flashbangs. Intense, disorienting flashes trigger confusion, nausea, and retreat. But here's where it gets really clever. Add decoy lighting zones. Make it look like people are awake and moving through the house when they're not. Use timed lights, silhouette mannequins in windows, even fake radio chatter to create the illusion of occupancy and readiness. In other words, psychological warfare. You're not just surviving. You're sending a message. This house is alert, aware, and dangerous to approach. America has over 140 million homes, and less than 5% are equipped with any form of light discipline or tactical illumination. In a collapse, that makes 95% of homes easy to scope, and even easier to breach, but not yours. If you control the light, you control the night. And that means you're not just defending your home, you're controlling the battlefield. Water defense isn't just for thirst, it's for blood. Here's the thing that most preppers and survival influencers completely ignore. If you control water, you control life. But here's the twist. If you don't secure your water, it could also get you killed. In America, the average person uses about 82 gallons of water per day, flushing toilets, brushing teeth, washing dishes. But in a grid-down world, even 2 gallons per person per day is a luxury. And when people realize they're out of bottled water and the faucet's dry, that's when they turn violent. Here's the part most folks don't understand. Looters don't just want your food. They're hunting for water. In 2023, FEMA quietly updated its crisis readiness protocols to estimate that within 3 days of a major power outage, 60% of urban residents will run out of clean water. That means your rain barrels, your backyard well, your creek, those become war targets. If your water storage is visible, you're a magnet for violence. If it's accessible, it's already gone. And if your own family gets sick because someone poisoned or sabotaged your supply, you'll be dealing with cholera or dysentery in your living room. Here's what to do now. Camouflage your water collection systems. Build false structures around your barrels. Place decoy barrels filled with bleach water to mislead and contaminate intruders. Fence off wells and lock pump access with steel enclosures. Use underground tanks wherever possible, and create water routes that lead away from your home. So even if someone stumbles on a pipe, they follow it the wrong direction. Set up booby traps? That's your call. But remember, in a world without law, water is blood. Protect it with the same intensity you'd protect your children. Forget the fence. You need a sound trap perimeter. Let's get brutally honest. If your idea of a defensive perimeter is a 6-foot privacy fence, you've already lost. Fences are great for keeping dogs in and nosy neighbors out, but they do absolutely nothing in a collapse scenario. Marauders will hop them, drive through them, or just torch them. The key isn't to stop them, it's to hear them coming. Welcome to the world of acoustic perimeter defense, a tactic used in forward operating bases, African tribal villages, and even some high-risk neighborhoods in South Texas. It's cheap, it's effective, and most Americans have never heard of it. Here's how it works. You set up noise traps all around your property. Tin cans filled with pebbles, tripwire attached to nails or glass bottles, fishing line tied to metal rods. It doesn't have to be fancy. The goal is simple. Create noise that wakes you up and puts you on alert. Sound travels further at night, and in dead silence, the clink of a fishing lure or pop of a stretched wire can be enough to warn you of a creeping threat before they reach your door. Go one step further and add wireless motion sensors hooked to vibration alarms or walkie-talkie headsets. Some cost as little as $15 each, and they're the best eyes you'll have in a blackout. Even better, mix in psychological decoys, a tripwire that triggers wind chimes, a motion sensor that lights up a scarecrow in tactical gear. Your goal isn't just to know when they're coming, it's to make them think you're already watching. Every second you gain is a second to grab your weapon, wake your group, or take up a defensive position. According to a 2024 civilian self-defense report from Texas, homes with acoustic trip alarms saw 86% fewer breaches than those without. Translation: sound saves lives. Don't wait until you hear boots on your porch. Make the noise start at the tree line. Build a kill room, even if you hope you never use it. This one's controversial. Some people will say it's too extreme, too paranoid, but in a real-world collapse, when help isn't coming and you're the last line of defense, this could be the one decision that keeps your family alive. Every American prepper should seriously consider building what professionals call a kill room, a hardened, concealed location inside your home designed not just for shelter, but for staging a last stand. Sounds dramatic? It is, but war is dramatic. And that's exactly what you'll be facing. So what is it? A kill room is not a panic room. Panic rooms are passive. They're for hiding. A kill room is active defense. Think of it as a reverse ambush site. Reinforce it with thick walls, preferably concrete or sandbags, a clear line of sight to choke points like stairwells or hallways, and strong cover to shoot from. Your kill room should have a backup exit, extra magazines, medical gear, and a comm system if you've got one. You're not hiding here. You're surviving at all costs. Now, here's what most people don't know. In the early days of Hurricane Katrina, some homeowners in New Orleans used interior laundry rooms, closets, and crawl spaces as makeshift kill rooms to fend off looters. And guess what? It worked. According to 2005 emergency responder accounts, homes that funneled invaders into controlled spaces had 300% higher survival rates. Your kill room doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to work. The key is control. Control of angles, control of elevation, and control of your enemy's movement. Don't want to be in a shootout in your kitchen? Good. Neither do I. That's why you build the place now, practice it like a fire drill, and pray you never need it. But if that day comes, you'll be ready. Not panicking, not guessing. Ready. Turn your home into a psychological minefield. If you think a well-fortified house is enough to stop marauders, you're living in fantasy land. Organized looters, especially those operating in groups, thrive on challenge. They see locks and bars not as deterrents, but as puzzles to be cracked. But you know what terrifies them? Uncertainty, paranoia. The belief that they're already being watched, hunted, and outgunned. That's where psychological warfare comes in. And it's one of the most underutilized tools in the American prepper arsenal. In places like Venezuela and Syria, where civil collapse became daily life, survivors who held their homes for months didn't just rely on weapons, they weaponized fear. You can do the same. Start by posting false security warnings, but don't use corporate stickers. That's amateur hour. Instead, post handwritten signs with phrases like, "Area under sniper surveillance," "Trespassers buried on site," or "SHTF security zone. No rescue beyond this point." Use spray paint, dirty tarps, or blood-colored red paint to make it unsettling. Make your home look unstable, haunted, dangerous. Crazy repels. Take it further. Install mannequins and tactical gear at second-story windows. Put up motion-triggered speakers that blast aggressive shouting or a dog barking in German. Want next level? Rig cheap walkie-talkies to broadcast fake chatter about ammo counts, sniper positions, or incoming fire teams. This isn't about truth. It's about creating the illusion of an organized militia. The goal is to make intruders believe that attacking your home is tantamount to suicide. According to 2024 data from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's Civilian Defense Seminar, nearly 70% of home intruders in high-risk zones abandon targets that appear psychologically unstable or militarized. That's your edge. You don't need to win a firefight. You need to prevent it from ever starting. And in the mind of a hungry, terrified looter, nothing is scarier than a house that looks more like a death trap than a pantry. Establish a shadow command post because you may have to coordinate a counterattack. Here's what no one wants to admit out loud. Defending your home isn't just about holding a position. Sometimes survival means coordinating, counter-movement, especially if you're facing a multi-day siege or organized assaults. That's why every serious prepper needs to set up a shadow command post, a concealed operations center inside your home that controls communication, surveillance, response plans, and medical triage. You're not playing Rambo. You're building the home equivalent of a war room. Set it up in your most protected interior room, preferably no windows, thick walls, second floor or basement level. Inside, you need a secure two-way radio system, a printed map of your neighborhood with entry exit routes marked, a night vision monocular, a shortwave receiver for monitoring other groups, and a first aid triage kit with tourniquets, clotting powder, and antibiotics. Have a whiteboard for marking security incidents. This isn't prepper cosplay. It's serious defense. In 2023 alone, over 38,000 homesteads in hurricane-impacted Louisiana reported using makeshift ops centers to coordinate family and neighbor defense. They didn't have a choice. And don't overlook rotating roles. Everyone in your household needs to know the command post layout and how to use every tool inside it. Assign shifts for surveillance, communications, and medical readiness. If someone gets injured or taken out, another person has to step in immediately. This is your brain center. If it goes down, the whole body collapses. And here's the kicker. Use your command post to intercept enemy plans. Yes, I said enemy. In a collapse, there's no difference between a looter gang and a battlefield opponent. Listen to unencrypted comms, track enemy movement with binoculars, and drone recon. Yes, hobby drones are crucial now. Note what time attacks usually occur. Patterns reveal strategy, and strategy is how you flip the advantage. Your living room might be full of sandbags. Your porch might be rigged with alarms. But if your home doesn't have a place where you command and control, then you're not defending. You're just reacting. And in a true SHTF collapse, reaction equals death. Create a black zone escape system because even fortresses fall. This is the hardest truth of all, and no one likes to hear it. You might lose your home, no matter how fortified, no matter how armed, if the numbers are against you, if your defense is breached, or if fire is used as a weapon, which is incredibly common in looter tactics. You need a way out. But not just any way. A black zone escape system that lets you disappear without being followed, without leading enemies to your secondary cache, and without leaving evidence behind. A black zone escape system is a pre-planned, pre-packed, and pre-cached exit route out of your neighborhood or city. Not a bug-out bag you throw in the truck. Not a hope we get to the cabin dream. I'm talking about on-foot, low-profile, urban or rural evasion paths that involve natural cover, sewer grates, creek beds, culverts, abandoned buildings, and camouflage staging zones. In 2020's Minneapolis riots, dozens of families used storm drains and overgrown trail systems to vanish from hot zones with zero digital trace. So what do you need? First, a blackout kit. All dark clothing, a poncho, maps, not GPS, face covering, gloves, and compact gear that won't clink or reflect light. Second, escape caches. At least 2 buried or concealed stashes within 1 to 3 miles of your home with water, clothing, fire starter, and backup ID. Third, a decontamination protocol, because if you're escaping through industrial or sewer routes, infection becomes a real risk. But here's where most Americans screw up. They lead looters to their second location. If you're fleeing, you must go quiet. No flashlights, no talking, no cell phones. Assume you're being watched, tracked, or followed. Break line of sight every 10 seconds. Move like you're being hunted, because if society's collapsed, you are. The U.S. Army Survival Manual refers to these tactics as E&E, escape and evasion, and every serious prepper needs to study them, because no matter how strong your defenses are, there's always a bigger gang, a bigger fire, or a bigger storm. And when the walls come down, the survivors are the ones who already knew how to disappear into the night. Win before the fight. Run a total collapse home defense plan, because most Americans lose to chaos, not criminals. All right, listen to me closely, because this is the most overlooked truth in American prepping. In a real SHTF collapse, most families don't get wiped out because a movie villain marauder squad kicks in the front door. They get wiped out because they freeze. They misread the threat. They burn through resources. They telegraph their supplies. Or they get caught in the one nightmare nobody trains for, a fast-moving crisis stack. No water, no sleep, a medical injury, a fire risk, and desperate people circling like sharks. The average American uses around 82 gallons of water per day at home in normal life. Comfort mode. In collapse mode, that kind of visible routine becomes a beacon. And the second you look stable while everyone else is collapsing, You become the richest target on your block, so your number one weapon isn't a gadget. It's a plan you can execute half awake, under stress, with kids screaming and power out. Here's what total plan actually means. You pre-build decision triggers. Example, if 3 consecutive nights of prowling happen on the street, you switch to full blackout discipline. Rotate watch and stop any outside movement. You establish roles. One person monitors, one manages water, chops food, one handles medical and comms. Because chaos loves a leaderless house. You harden against the threats that actually spike in the U.S. Burglary and intrusion, where the scale is still massive nationwide. Over 1 million burglaries annually is a common estimate from DOJ-based summaries. And you stop pretending every problem is solved with more gear, because the dumbest ways Americans die in extended outages are often secondary hazards, like carbon monoxide poisoning from unsafe generator use, which the CDC warns kills hundreds of Americans each year. And finally, this is what separates survivors from victims. You create 2 scripts. One for desperate individuals, avoid, deter, de-escalate, don't reveal supplies. And one for organized groups, quiet house, layered detection, communication with trusted neighbors, and a clean fallback route that doesn't lead anyone to your real cache. Because when society breaks, the winners aren't the loudest house on the block. The winners are the house that looks empty, acts coordinated, and never lets panic make decisions for them.